For years in World of Warcraft, there's always been one achievement that has eluded me more than any other. The Insane in the Membrane is an achievement of pure hard work, labor, grinding. It requires hours, days, weeks, and months of your life to finish. So why did I finish it in like 5 days? Well, I got a story for you. You guys are probably wondering, why am I doing the insane grind in 2024? Well, let me paint the scene for you. It was a dark and stormy night. I was out there working for my Mythic Plus Keystone hero in Neltharis, and I got a notification. I opened Discord and received the second worst news of my life. Blizzard is getting rid of diplomacy with the pre-patch. I replied with a very family-friendly response, but I knew what I had to do next. I had to go finish the insane grind! 15 years ago, I was a young child and I was playing Wrath of the Lich King on my level 63 Draenei Death Knight on Holy Muffin. After getting roped into a group for the Bloodsail Admiral title by a Night Elf hunter named Nogshocker, I ended up becoming absolutely hated with Booty Bay and exalted with the Bloodsail Buccaneers. I could not walk into Goblin cities since Wrath of the Lich King. I was in 2nd grade. Well, to be fair, there's not really a reason to go to them after Cataclysm, but still, I had this achievement hanging over my shoulder for 15 years. Children have been born, marriages have happened, people have moved on with their lives. Are you feeling old yet? So, what is this achievement? The Insane dictates that you need to be exalted with all the Steamwheel Cartel reps, which are Everlook, Ratchet, Booty Bay, and Gadgetzan, exalted with the Darkmoon Fair and Ravenholt, while maintaining an honored reputation with the Bloodsail Buccaneers. Thankfully, I'm already exalted with the Bloodsail Buccaneers and the Darkmoon Fair. However, because Blizzard won't let me be a chat diplomat anymore, I gotta finish showing off my exquisite, world-changing, diplomatic ability. However, is this achievement really rare anymore? No! This game's gonna be 20 years old in like 3 months. When I checked Wowhead, only 8% of Wowhead profiles have it, and those are the sweaty nerds like me. This means that thousands of people have done it, but I can guarantee that none of them have waited 15 years to make progress on that achievement now. There are a few things we can do to speed up the insane grind though. Whenever the Darkmoon Fair is in town, you can get a 10% more reputation bonus, for which I did not have for most of this grind. I'll kind of go over that later. There is also the guild standard coordination, which increases my rep gains by a further 15%. I just gotta go buy it from the vendor, and it's not there? Let me go find the achievement for it. Oh no. Okay, so we are a little bit more gimped than we should be, but I'm still human, I'm still a Chad diplomat, I still got that 10% rep bonus, at least for another week. But now that I'm actually doing this, let me tell you about the first step most people have to take, killing Booty Bay goblins. But as we established, I did this 15 years ago. So, what's next? Pirates. Welcome to Tanris's Southbreak Shore, our home for the foreseeable future. In order to get exalted, I will have to kill 26,000 pirates. Or, well, kind of? The numbers aren't quite all there. There's a few things I didn't consider a factor, like having Darkmoon Fair buff for like 2 hours, or the fact I was able to find a 5-man group. However, it is important to note, I play on Holy Death Knight. I am a slow man. You see, while I'm stuck running around waiting for my Wraith Walk to give me a mobility boost that can only hope to be on a retirement home speedrun leaderboard, I was surrounded by arcane mages who'd cover half the beach in the time it took me to finish a single lap. In fact, I was so slow that I was stuck on dock duty while the other members of my group would be running fast circles and killing mini mobs. If you want to know why the docks suck, there are only 3 mobs that spawn on the docks. I get that I'm slow enough that a paraplegic could beat me in a race, but man. However, dear viewer, to maintain this very important narrative that I've already destroyed, I must start at the beginning of my time with the pirates. First time I actually started grinding out of Hated, it was only for 10 minutes. I found one guy, a rogue, who was farming them, and invited them to a party. This is where I started to realize my severe disability. You see, Death Knights are marketed as the class that you don't go to your enemies, they have to forcibly come to you. It's probably one of the coolest features of playing a Death Knight is to death grip mobs and enemies to you whenever you play the game. The cost of having one of the most badass class fantasies though is that I am a slow man, so I have to make up for it for none other than my ghoul. As you can see here, Unholy Death Knights get a ghoul, or in my case, a skeleton. This skeleton man can go some distance, but if they go too far, they despawn. So while I'm out here having to kill things by death coiling and sending a bolo whip next day delivery, my skeleton is going to be going out and doing silly little things. By the way, if anyone from Blizzard sees this, please give me new glyphs to customize my ghoul already. This skeleton is literally as old as the achievement I'm grinding. Please, I need him to look like this fucking guy and I'll sub for another 20 fucking years. Anyways, this was my position when the group started. At the beach house campfire combo. I was just killing pirates and running circles around the campfire. After I had to leave and get a Darkmoon Fair buff, I got demoted to the docks. While on the docks, I began to really wonder if it was really worth it to make this video due to the insane amount of downtime I had. However, I recognized that internet clout needed a sacrifice, and that sacrifice would be the prime years of my life. There is one benefit to being on the docks. One of the pirate mobs are complete assholes and try to death grip you around. That's right, after showing them my class fantasy, they decided to go steal my idea and bring me to them. This was, without question, the most annoying thing they did in this run, and being on the docks kind of stopped it from happening. So yeah, being on the deadbeat, basically useless job kept me from suffering a mild inconvenience. The first hour of grinding this is probably the single hardest thing about this achievement. After you get your momentum going though, the grind goes by pretty quickly. People come, people leave, and by the end of it you'll realize one thing. Every single person in this grind is a mindless zombie except you. What do I mean by everyone is a zombie? Well, unless you're grinding solo, the people you come across want this achievement to be done and over with. So you can have hours of just silence in your party chat. The most people are going to say is, GG, I'm done. Hello, and subscribe now. This was until I came across a particular set of people. When I began my farm at Revered, I found a single dude farming over in the wrong location. After having to get on my Horde character to whisper him and then form a cross-faction group, we began farming out pirates. After 25 minutes, we got a second and third member, and people started to talk. And it dawned upon me that this was the first real social interaction I've had in this grind. But even worse, it wasn't just social interaction. It was fucking yapping. Okay, listen. Let me pretend that I haven't been yapping for the last 6 minutes about this achievement. Because these guys kept yapping and starting conversations every 30 seconds and would stop playing just to type it out. These guys literally discussed everything from TV shows we were watching to the transmog market to lore and eventually psychology. Yes, you heard me right, psychology. The levels of irony that this was happening during the insane grind was not lost upon me. Rodhart, one of the two priests, were supposed to be a clinical psychology major in college, but couldn't do chemistry? I don't know, I kind of zoned out during this conversation, but yeah, real conversations were happening. While these two yapped on about Jungian and Freudian psychology, I was hard at work being the greatest rep grinder of all time. As people came and left, I eventually got moved over to the wall/dot combo on the far side. But as you can see here, sometimes being the slowest man doesn't work out too well. By the end of this, I was starting to understand some of their compulsions to discuss every single topic in one go.
I have GERD, anxiety, autism, and bipolar from both sides.
But I won't lie, I'm not much better off than them to begin with, considering I'm making a funny game video about an in-game reputation that thousands of people have done over 15 years ago, just so I can post it on YouTube and get internet clout. However, these aren't the only kind of people out there. If you are a newer player and want to make tons of gold, someone seeing a group labeled Insane Grind might think there's some good cash value from doing this. However, don't be a fool like this guy who came all the way out here only to realize that our only reward was 9 more letters being added at the end of our names. After a full 3 hours of my life went down the tube, I realized this yapping had to be paused so I could make an epic montage piece. I laid down the bait. I asked Rodhart, the last person in my group, if he got any cool pieces of gear to sell in the transmog market. He took the bait, but I made a crucial miscalculation and ended up getting exalted before I could hit the trick shot. After realizing that I fucked up and got this botched ass piece of footage, I literally did not last another minute before I left the party to continue my divine journey. While I have not forgiven Rodhart for ruining that footage, I must admit, this dude's conversation made these last few hours of grinding somewhat tolerable. Rodhart, if you're out there, thank you for being a good grinding buddy, and keep up the good conversation skills wherever you go. Now that we are done with the hardest part of the grind, I need to confess something. I know at the start of this, you must assume this is my first time doing the insane grind. It isn't. In fact, I did this grind on TBC Classic. I was so fucking pumped to do it that I burned myself out and quit the game. Imagine my surprise that when I did it, I got an instant invitation to the Wrath of the Lich King Classic Beta. So while for some people, the hours of grinding so far may seem impossible, terrible, or dare say it, insane to do, this is actually a cakewalk compared to running up and down the beach in the Barrens for hours every day, every night for months on end. But I know there's another question burning on your minds. Why did it take me 4 months to make this video? Let me prepare you for a wild ride. After I finished this grind, I immediately had to take my computer down for a day or two to install a new graphics card. My 1070 that had served me faithfully since 2017 was finally being retired. After I installed the new GPU, I got hit by a Season Discovery Phase 4 release, and a few big things happened. Very happy to announce, we got an eye. This 4,500 gold, unlit mace on my back is about to get fired up. A week later, my classes started and I became a busy college student once again. After finally getting the chance to put more work in this video, I suffered a motherboard failure on my computer. After a painstaking 2 weeks of waiting for computer parts, I spent the entire weekend trying to figure out why the fuck my new motherboard wasn't working. I wish I took videos and photos of this process, but it would have been too graphic for YouTube's language filter if you heard what I was saying the entire time. After I rebuilt my computer, I lost an entire section of the video and tons of audio across the board. However, we aren't quite done yet. After fixing everything and trying to relocate it, I became incredibly sick and couldn't speak for nearly a week. A few rounds of antibiotics later, and now we are finally here, at this video. I can't lie to you, a large portion of this video was lost. Elements of the video just disappeared from my drives, and I have spent weeks restoring and recreating some of these events to the best of my ability. Even though I have subliminally hidden messages throughout this video, if you've enjoyed this far, please like and subscribe. This video has been a monumental effort, and it has been one of my biggest passions for the last 4 months. Now that we are finished with my personal lore and the pirate grind, we have one more reputation we have to knock out, Ravenholt. However, let's take a step back and look at what we need to do for Ravenholt. Whereas we had to kill 26,000 pirates, Ravenholt is going to continue that bloodthirsty streak as we need to kill nearly 4,000 members of the Syndicate. Who are the Syndicate? They used to be the strong, proud members of the Kingdom of Alterac, but after a few political whoopsies like trying to sell out all of humanity to try and get favor with the Horde, they've ended up on the streets, stealing wallets and using it to buy fell crack. Anyways, we are pretty lucky. Whereas we need a 5-man group to suffer through the pirates, this is an easily sellable task due to one little detail. The best spot to farm the Syndicate is a hyperspawn that only appears when the Alliance controls Arathi Highlands. And for the non-nerds watching this video, let me explain what a hyperspawn is. A hyperspawn is a location in the open world that has unlimited, fast respawns. There are one of two requirements for a hyperspawn to exist at any given point. Either there are too many different players in an area, or when a certain number of mobs die, the game has to automatically force a respawn. More often than not, most hyperspawns are questing locations, and at Debris Farmstead, the Syndicate's Harvest Reapers have hyperspawn properties. That's right, the Syndicate, the mean, street thugs we all know and love, are trying to have a redemption story by starting a grassroots movement and become simple farmers. I get it, and I love an underdog story, but the issue is that I need the blood of the disenfranchised on my hands. This is what I would say if this area actually functioned correctly. Unlike every other hyperspawn where it just continuously keeps going, this hyperspawn seems to break at random, and I don't really know if it's the result of layering problems or what, but every 10 minutes, the Harvest Watchers turn off completely. Essentially, every 1,000 reputation forces me into a 15-minute timeout. Okay, so what are the other places you can farm the Syndicate then? Well, you must understand, despite the hyperspawn breaking, the hyperspawn is truly the single greatest improvement to the insane grind, besides taking out Shindralar. The only other option you have to go farm Syndicate is to go back to Stromgarde in the past. You see, when I was doing this grind back in the Burning Crusade, I was forced to sit here for 12 excruciating hours, running around the place having to wait for respawns and deal with leveling players. The worst part about this was that I had to be silent in Discord the entire night, because the guy who stole my Corrupted Ashbringer made us binge watch Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3 in a row. If you are really hellbent on doing this grind in Stromgarde though, good fucking luck. The respawns suck, this area is way too massive, and half of the mobs here are stealth. It is not a good time. But do you know what is a good time though? Actually knocking this reputation out in 3 full hours. That's right, the hyperspawn sometimes didn't break at the 10-minute mark. It would just turn off when it wanted to. But this left me sometimes where I was grinding for 30 to 40 minutes straight, and that was just, it was awesome. It was amazing. It was beautiful. They gave me the ability to pump, and all I could say was, fuck it, we ball. 3 hours later, I was honored. But to put it lightly, our bloodthirsty streak is not the hard part of this grind. If you thought the 30,000 kills so far were bad, just wait until you hear this one. After you finish killing the Shredders to max honored, you now need to be a rogue. Yeah, you know what? Fuck my deathnet apparently, I gotta go pick up a rogue. But why do you need a rogue, you might ask? Well, Ravenholt is a secret rogue organization hidden behind a cave. It's led by this guy, Jorak Ravenholt. Many years ago in Classic, you had to come up to the Ravenholt mansion for rogue-specific quests, but that all sort of went away because of some little dumbass who thought he was ready to become a dragon aspect. So in order to progress your reputation to Exalted, you need to go turn in heavy junk boxes. Normally, we'd be turning in 1,400 lockboxes, but because we are a human, it's only 1275. Where do we get them? Slavery. We are stealing from slaves. Okay, I know this sounds really bad out of context, but it is literally the best way to get the heavy junk boxes. You go over to the Isle of Quel'Danas, go to the opposite side, and find these Naga and their Murloc slaves. You'd think that I'd be stealing from the bigger, monstrous Naga, who are quite frankly terrible people. However, you actually gotta go after the slaves, because they used to be a lower level than the Naga. Remember how I keep mentioning this grind was made 15 years ago? Before the expansion where they ruined everything, the world used to operate a little differently. Enemies would scale up to a certain point and stop, allowing you to level in a zone until that stopping point. Rewind it 2 expansions back, and you had the original leveling system where every zone had fixed levels instead. The Isle of Quel'Danas was not intended to be a leveling zone. It was supposed to be an endgame zone where you did quests and dailies to go fight the Burning Legion in the Sunwell, only to never see that Apollyon drop off of Kill Jaden. Yeah, I'm still pretty salty about that. However, like all in-patch islands, people forgot about its existence entirely. So the reason why the Murlocs have different lockboxes than the Naga despite being the same level now is that back in the Burning Crusade, the Murlocs were level 60 while the Naga were level 70. Anyways, the Murlocs aren't actually too terrible, but these chests are even worse than hearing Rodhart's origin story on repeat.
It made her doctors always ask if she did heroin.
The general gist of running around here is that you pick every Murloc in a camp, kill them, go to the next camp, pickpocket them, kill them again, and the Murlocs at the prior camp will respawn, and you rinse and repeat. What this has turned into is the world's largest game of hit and run. I arrive at a Murloc's lovely hut, and like a Ford F-150 going 90 into a school zone, I have stolen someone's worldly belongings and ended up killing everyone at that hut. I wish I could tell you this part could be more exciting, or at the least, entertaining. However, you're watching a violent man who's proven his insanity by killing nearly 30,000 people so far. If we are speaking in metaphors, these Murlocs are wet pieces of tissue, and Shuriken Storm is the Cat 5 hurricane that leaves nothing behind. I am not the only person trying to do the insane grind rep before the war within. In fact, I am one of many rogues in this island. The first time I went to go pickpocket chests on the island, I came to a very quick revelation that I was not alone. In fact, some of these rogues are what we can call selfish. They pickpocket mobs, walk away, and don't kill them. And if they start to catch on to the fact that you are stealing their mobs, they're going to start griefing you. If you don't feel like dealing with the grief, you can always log on and get off at a different time, or go to another part of the beach. Outside of this nightmarish routine of stealing from slaves and killing them, I was actually rocking pretty good number of chests per hour. I was looting around 144 chests per hour, and often I had to take a break and walk away from my computer, or ride back to town and send long boxes out. I want to say that I maybe spent 12 hours in total on my rogue doing this farm, but those 12 hours felt like an eternity. When you have to do the same thing on repeat, you start to understand why they call this achievement grind the insane. But before I knew it, there I was, the last lockbox. As I finally reached the end of my saga, my divine journey, I could not wait to get to Ravenholt Manor. I did every speed up I could. Nitro boost to the portal in Borealis? Check. Arathi Warfront portal? Check. Quick flying up and shoot myself across the Eastern Kingdoms faster than I ever had before? Check. And as I land at the Manor Ravenholt, I pulled out a mailbox and realized this was about to be insanely anticlimactic. The final part of the insane grind was purely sitting and opening every piece of mail in my mailbox, get every junk box out of there, and then turn it in 5 at a time. This took fucking forever, I shit you not. I spent 15 full minutes just waiting there, turning log boxes and getting more out of the mailbox. But at the end of all that, there it was, the insane. And after all this time, this brief week, I made it, before the pre-patch. And as I found myself putting on the title, I felt something calling to me, something that I was not sure what was. I turned around, and I felt... Hey guys, today we are going to be grinding out the insane. We'll be starting off with hitting 2k in solo shuffle. Gamers, today we are going to be finishing up the insane grind and tackle our first objective by hitting Keystone Hero. Fellas, today we are grinding out the insane and... ANX? Wait a second. None of this is a part of the insane grind. What the fuck is happening? I don't know what the hell just happened. I just woke up in the Caverns of Time. You know, that place with the big dragons, the bronze ones, the ones who look at time? But here's the thing. I don't know what is happening, but this thing has popped up on my screen, and something tells me that I need to fill it.